I'm gonna make sure I hit record so I don't forget to do that. Ta-da!
I see it. I see the little blinking dot that says recording.
Bink! So first of all, I would love to have you share introduce yourselves, obviously, and so who you are and what it is you do.
Well, my name's Megan, and this is Wakey.
Hi.
We also go by Chibi and Yeti, which were our online screen names for a while. And when we just decided that we were going to start making art together, we combined the two, and we are Chibi Yeti.
Yes, which is, for those of you who are not weebs, because we are weebs, chibi is like a small, cute thing. Anyway, but you can't tell because I'm sitting down, but I am extremely short.
Me too.
So,
Yay, Short People Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me how did this happen? How did this start?
Well, so we were both kind of like doing our own art thing online, not really for profit, just for like, I had a DeviantArt account. Remember DeviantArt? I had moved back from Japan with my husband, and we had been like, hey, we could do an art business. We like this. Wouldn't it be nice to do an art business?
Yeah.
And then I think in 2014, I was at a garage sale, and someone had put out like screen printing screens for like really big ones for like $1 each. They were selling this pack for $6. And I was like, all right, that's it. And so I picked it up and I called her and was like, hey, want to go into screen printing?
Okay. I don't know how to screen print. I guess we could learn.
And we did.
Sure. And now years later, we have like a really expensive, fancy screen printing press in the garage and a bunch of other equipment, and we have fun with it. We make things. We screen print shirts. We illustrate. We do stickers. We've just been trying a lot of stuff.
Trying our hand at everything, whatever the market will do. I mean, we love conventions. Conventions were our bread and butter, and we do really well at them. I'm the face of the party, so I love conventions. I've missed them so hard.
I enjoy conventions too, but I have a little bit more of the social anxiety, so that is another reason why we paired well together, is because I can fade into the background a little bit when I don't feel like people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah.
So is this both of your full-time things? Is this all you're doing for, well, before quarantine, was this all you were doing?
Still not entirely.
That's fair.
I also work part-time at an art supply store, which has been pretty good, and it's hard for me to let go of that because it's like it's a nice thing, and
discounts on supplies.
Yes, that is
yes, it's really nice. We have a tab. They sell screen printing ink, and when you need emergency ink, it's great.
Yeah.
No, she works at a little indie place up here in Bellingham, and it's fabulous. Like, I think if you worked for Michael's, you would probably not like it.
Well, I probably would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah.
I hope I would have.
I've worked off and on retail jobs because that's I am like an extrovert's extrovert. Like I am fueled by interacting with strange people. And that's why conventions are awesome. But so I worked at Joanne for a while, kind of did that until it started cutting into my school schedule. But yeah, so a couple years ago, I decided that if I was gonna be an artist with a capital A, I should probably take some graphic design and like actual official art classes. So I went to community college for about a year, and I just like shoved in as many classes as I could like audit, because like I don't care about the credits.
Right.
I have a degree in Japanese literature. When we moved to Bellingham to be together so that we could have a studio together and like actually get a little more art done instead of being in our parents' basement. Because that's what happens when you're starting out. Like, there's zero shame in that. I would like anyone who wants to be a screen printer to know that it's messy and takes up a lot of space, and there is zero shame in using your parents' basement.
Yeah.
Zero shame. Because it's not a way a lot of people go. Not many people know what screen printing is.
So with still having a part-time job, etc., and having other things like when you were in school and stuff, like,
Mhm.
how do you and how did you balance, like, so that you still get that creative time, the time to focus on the business while still making sure the bills are paid or getting through school or
I'd
Yeah.
say it's still a struggle that we're figuring out, and we're a little bit better at it than we used to be, but
Yeah.
it's tricky.
Work-life balance is a perennial problem, especially during COVID.
yeah.
Because I channeled all my COVID anxiety into production.
Yep.
And
That sounds
I
familiar.
probably drove her crazy, being like, no, we gotta be doing something, making art, doing something, making art. And it wasn't
Looks
healthy.
pointedly
And
off screen.
I went the other direction, and I just kind of like shut down and didn't want to make any art, which is like not really helpful either. So it's about communication and
Yeah.
making it work. We've had many kind of iterations of schedules that we've had to make, and then kind of like adjust. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ongoing.
yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
planning breaks is the most important. I think the best advice I could give other people who want to make a living doing art is twofold. One, just because you love it doesn't mean you shouldn't get paid for it. That annoys me. And then two, absolutely plan weekends and breaks and vacations,
Mhm.
because I can get into modes where I'm so thrilled with what I'm doing and the art I'm working on that I forget to like take breaks and play video games or like refresh my brain, and I just get like bogged down in doing art constantly, or like fussing with things, or I like keeping busy, so it's like dangerous. Honestly, you treat it like a real job. Make a schedule. Be like, all right, from 11 to 7, we're doing business stuff, and if that's art, that's art. If it's packaging, it's packaging. If it's mailing stuff, it's mailing stuff. But like, we have a big Todoist. Like, it's an app that's been very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yes, apps.
Apps that you sync and have shared task lists, and it's been great, honestly. And we lucked out, and that we're very like artistically compatible in
Mhm.
terms of temperament and like drive. She gets me to slow down and focus on details, and I
And
tell
yeah,
her to ship it.
yes.
Stop fussing with that line
Mhm.
and ship it.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I love it.
Advice, because
Yes.
I have advice.
Yes, please. What piece of advice would you offer other creative entrepreneurs, especially if they're starting in this weird time we find ourselves in?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned take breaks. Give
Yep.
yourself breaks. Give yourself time, and give yourself a break. If like the first conventions you go to are horrible experiences, just be like, okay, that's okay. We're getting the horrible ones out of the way. It's not all gonna be like this.
Yeah. Pay yourself. Charge what you're worth.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, it doesn't matter if you think you suck. Someone's gonna love your stuff, and you should be charging a living wage for it.
Yeah.
We actually, before we start, as part of our start of our business, we bought ourselves like the phone book that is the Graphic Artist Guild's like book that they recommend that artists
Standards and
use.
practices.
Yeah, business standards and practices. And I didn't read it cover to cover, but like, I read the salient sections, and it's like, no, you are ruining the market charging $2 for an 11 by 17 print.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. It doesn't, no volume is going to make up for the fact that you are not giving yourself a living wage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're making it so people like kind of normalize that price is more normalized. And
Yeah.
People then come to artists that are charging like what they should, and they're like, well, that's too expensive. That's
The person
ridiculous.
2 doors down charges $5 for this, or
Yeah.
they charge $20 for a custom commission, and it's like, okay, like, don't do that. You're killing yourself. It's not.
Yeah.
Art is a job. Art is a job, and it's a skill that you have learned. Please don't
Respect
think that
yourself.
Yes, respect yourself.
I think that's such a big piece of it. It's like, you're not charging. You're like, well, this drawing, like a custom at a convention, like a quick sketch. It's like, yes, you did that fairly quickly, but it took you years of practice and years of
Yes.
studying. And so you're not just literally charging for the couple minutes you spent with the pencil to paper. It's all of it.
You're charging for the schooling you went through. You're charging
Word.
for the device that you bought to practice on. You're charging for sketchbooks. I mean, it's
The hours of practice.
hours of practice. Yeah, and that's the other thing, like that. That she said, patience and time. As someone who started off as not a very good artist, it's amazing where I am 5 years later. And it's just because I did it every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still do stuff now and I look at it and I hate it, but because that's part of being an artist.
Yep.
I compare my current drawings to drawings from 4 years ago, and it's like night and day. It's like, oh, working on it and making myself do a piece every week makes a difference. It really does. Please don't fall into the trap that capitalism likes to put you in that says that art is a talent and not a skill. It's a skill, and you practice it and you do it, and that is how you become good at it. You don't, and like, if what you're making isn't what you love, stop and think about why that is. Think about it's. I think of art the same way. Like, okay, so if you look in the mirror and you hate your body and you're like, oh God, I'm fat, I'm ugly, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait, no, you're just not your type. Right? So I'm like, so if I look in the mirror and I like find everything wrong about me, I'm like, oh, but I'm married and I have a husband who loves me deeply and thinks I'm sexy. So obviously it's just that I'm not my type. And I feel that way about art too. If you look at your art and you go, I don't like this isn't what I want to be doing, be like, all right, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you're making art for someone else. And maybe you need to show it to people and see, like, get feedback. Like, ask 10 people, ask all your friends, even the ones you don't like that much, whose opinions you don't trust. See what they say about it. Because odds are, like, pieces that I have hated have like got me Instagram like famous. Like, it's just because you don't like a piece of art you did doesn't mean it's not good art.
Yes.
Yeah.
There have been instances, Harrison was just glancing at me, because there have been instances where he's literally wanted to throw a piece out and I'm like, no, somebody wants this. Yeah.
I don't know, this is kind of like a different direction on that too, but my favorite metaphor, like kind of visual like metaphor for practice and improvement is like a great YouTube, and I should look up like the link later so I can actually credit it properly, but he was saying that if you view like yourself like looking across a chasm towards the artist that you want to be, and you can see like that over there and like what you want, but there's just like this huge gap in the way, and you have to fill that chasm with bad art. And that's how you get across, is you just keep doing stuff and you fill that void, and pretty soon you will be there.
That was a cute animation.
Yeah. But I like that. And so like, even if you don't like what you're doing, you just keep doing it, and that's fine. And you need to like embrace what you consider failures as like this really, it's an important part of the process. And if you didn't have those, then you can't improve.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in the first step to being a great artist is being a terrible artist. You gotta start somewhere. And we get a lot of people who are like, oh, but I'm not any good at art. And it's like, well, how often do you practice? Do you practice 10 hours a day? Do you practice 10 hours a week? Like, I mean, no, 10 hours a day is a lot. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's unhealthy.
Don't do that.
I need to stop.
Yes. But just do it.
Yeah.
You get good at what you spend time on. I draw really good derpy cats now. Because I joined some part of my pandemic therapy was joining Facebook groups for like, this cat is a dumbass, or like little cats looking stupid. And I just like take people's photos and I like do doodles and sketches of them, and it's been great. And now my dad sends me photos of his cats because he wants me to do pictures of his cats. subtle about it. He's not. I love my dad. Yeah, and it's hard too. I think we had some fits and starts at the beginning. Friends and family not understanding that what we do is a skill that, you know, we should be compensated for.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still blurry. Like I'll do one-off shirts for family members as a joke. And I think as long as they don't take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
That's you don't want to be taken for granted. It's a fun thing to do. I think, you know, might as well share the joy of screen printing.
To kind of get into what I know has been just sort of a, you know, touchy, it's been a hard year and a half.
Yeah.
So talk about the difference in like what business and life looked like before the pandemic versus now. Like what are some of the biggest adjustments you've had to make? I mean, obviously conventions aren't happening right now. And how has that changed how you operate?
Immensely. I mean, when the pandemic happened, we were doing a lot of conventions every year, and we were just like we had actually just we were just like finalizing kind of like this new budget that was like highly based on going to a ton of conventions, and that went out the window. So we had to kind of figure out what else to do. We had this great breakthrough with her communication skills. She got a hookup with a client in San Francisco that wanted a bunch of masks screen printed.
Oh, so yeah. So what she didn't mention is COVID hit. And another friend of ours who they're a very good friend, they had just moved into the area and they needed kind of something to fill their time because they had been looking for work and COVID kind of put the kibosh on that. But they sew, and they had done plushies before. And I was like, you know, what would be really easy to screen print is masks. And they were like, oh, well, I could sew them. And so they and I got together and like, we did a bunch of design iterations. I turned them into screens without her help because she couldn't come over because we were quarantined.
Right.
Yeah, we were living in different spots at the time.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
And I got my temporary housemate to like hold things while I screen printed and passed them to him, and then handed them off to our friend, and they sewed them up into masks, and then like we got them on the website, and like that got the ball rolling. And then I, again, extreme extrovert. Some like an internet kind of personality that I follow online who owns a club in San Francisco, JWZ. He put a shout out on his like personal blog being like he was having trouble with this Chinese screen printing company, and he didn't want to like talk to anyone on the phone, and he didn't understand what screen printing was or what, like he just he's famous.
Somebody do this for me. I don't.
Yeah, he's famous and quirky and didn't want to deal with the minutia of screen printing. And so I was like, heck, I've been following this guy for like 10 years. I dropped him an email. I was like, listen, like you don't have to go with us because I know we're expensive because we're doing everything by hand from scratch. But here's what you need to know about screen printing and what's going to run you to get custom masks like you're asking. And he went for it. That was it. And so he kept us in business because he could move like 100 masks a week.
Nice.
Because he ran a club in San Francisco and had fanboys and girls. So anyway, so yeah, that kept us alive over COVID.
Mask production saved us for sure.
Yeah. Lucked out in that like we have a really good network of other friends who are like sewers or artists who, if we needed like a skill set, we could tap them and be like, hey, you want a contract for us? Like,
yeah. I mean, and you guys, I think I told you, you pretty much saved my hide. I know that wasn't a big order, but it literally saved my hide. I was ready that I was gonna have to go back to my Kickstarter backers and be like, the shirts, they're gone. I don't know. So the fact that you guys were able to step in and do that for me, and they came out so good. I'm so excited to be able to order more from you. So
I'm really glad that worked out. They were really fun to make too.
So here's true facts of an artist. Before I went digital, I had a really hard time doing art, like really hard, because for some reason sketchbooks just broke my brain. They like stressed me out, like the blank page, inability to do Control Z. Like I couldn't handle the stress.
Like, but it's on there now. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly. Like I erase, but the minute so my husband, who is, bless him, sold his laptop so that I could get an iPad Pro.
Oh.
It's just the sweetest thing. Anyway, and so I did, and like it was like a transformation. Like my iPad is filled with stuff. I never stop sketching. I doodle every day. Like it's great because something about the digital format like relieved the pressure in my brain that like it was permanent what I put down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so yeah, she's making a lot of art. We have to kind of be choosy in the like what we actually put into production.
I know that feeling.
We don't, but because we still don't like move nearly like the same amount of like shirts that we did previously, and so we have like a garage full of shirts that we're kind of like, all right, we gotta get conventions back and we can sell more stuff and then we can make more stuff.
Yeah,
right.
It's
Yeah.
Shirts are, people need to touch them. People need to see them. Nobody buys a shirt unseen and untouched from the internet. Like, unless they, well, I mean, some people have. I mean, we get sales, but I mean, for the most part, like, you need to be able to touch it and feel what a shirt feels like before you know if you want to wear it.
Yeah. And share how each of you identify, please.
Oh, yeah. I don't strongly identify as anything, to be honest. I kind of feel like I'm in kind of like a nebulous, like ace-ish, a demi-ish space, but I don't have like a specific like orientation. But yeah.
It's funny. I'm wearing these big earrings that say queer.
Yeah.
Because I'm ace, like very ace. I think autocore. Anyway, it's complicated and there's many different kinds of ace. But I married a man because he was the love of my life. But we're also poly. So that's been an adventure sometimes. But I don't know how much you know about asexuals and whatever, but she's my squish because you need someone to hug sometimes.
Yeah.
There was someone pitching a webcomic with like a super extroverted, touchy-feely ace and like and like their roommate who was pan but like super introverted. And I was like, that's what I need. Like we need to spread that awareness because I think the number of times, because I work retail again, the number of times I've been sexually harassed because people assume that because I'm friendly, that means I'm sexually available. Like being a woman in retail is super hard.
Yeah.
Capitalism rant.
Yeah.
I loved working retail. I still do. And I'd go back to it in a heartbeat if the capitalist system believed that I deserved to be paid for it. Because the capitalist system says that retail jobs are shit jobs for teenagers who should be paid less than minimum wage. And it's like,
no, for the verbal abuse that you put up with in retail.
Yeah. If I had to deal with dudes, oh God, I worked a fabric store. There were maybe 10% men that came in. And half of them were awesome because they were there as professionals, knew what they were doing. And the rest had no idea what they were doing and assumed that because I was there to help them, I was there for them to flirt with.
Back to convention talk. So obviously they're on pause right now, but I would love to hear about what was the first show you guys did as Chibi Yeti? How did it go? And what was the aftermath in terms of how you moved forward after that?
Was that Chibi Con?
Yes, it was the one.
Yeah, it was an evergreen.
It was so bad.
It was an evergreen thing.
And I think that's a misconception. People think like as soon as I get into a convention, everything's gonna be amazing.
No, it was so bad.
I want to hear what she says first.
No, it's been so long since I've thought about it, but yeah, it was just we had really bad sales. We had like a really confrontational mother that came in.
Yeah, so to start off with, our screen printing wasn't that good. Yeah. Like, we're gonna be straight up. We learned from books and we learned practicing. And so our screen printing was a little hit or miss. And like our first two designs ever were like our business logo, which is like the cute Yeti that she made. Yes, it's cute. Mm-hmm. And then like a design that I had come up with that in Japanese with like a big heart said hentai no kokoro, which means heart of a pervert.
Yeah.
And they went with some underwear we screen printed because we like decided we'd do it in hard mode, and we screen printed underwear that like it was like NC-17 underwear that said basically
Crotch of a pervert.
yes, crotch of a pervert.
No, I don't think the mom even like
No,
saw that.
she just saw the t-shirts.
Yeah, but she saw the t-shirts and came over and like got up in our faces and was like, I just wanted to know why you think being a pervert is something to be proud of. And put us on the spot. And I feel like we like I replied to her in something that I felt represented, like was a good response, but it was still just like,
yeah.
Never in like the years since I think we ever had anyone who was quite that. We've had some weird people over the years.
No, the one that
so
sticks
good.
with me from that convention. So the other thing to know about Chibi Con at Evergreen is that it's a free convention, mostly intended by college students.
Right.
So we
Yeah,
had this
maybe
one
not
girl.
tons of money to spend.
Yeah, we had this one girl who super wanted our underwear, but thought we were charging too much for it, and so she would come back like every hour and want to try to like lowball us or like pitch us another number. And I'm like, and then she's like, but if I pay $15, I can't eat. And I'm like, then eat. Don't buy her underwear.
Yeah.
Like this is important. Like it was like a crash course in one, dealing with like confrontational parents, and two, dealing with people who don't understand the etiquette of buying from artists at a convention, because she wasn't the only one. There were other people who would like try to bargain us down on the shirts, and like yeah.
Sorry, you're reminding me of convention stories too.
Yeah.
Like a person who kept coming by wanting one of Harrison's originals but didn't want to pay enough, like pay the price for it.
Yeah.
He kept coming back though, so he was clearly interested in it, but he kept trying to talk him down, and then he's like, well, maybe at the end of the day you'll discount it. And we're like, no. So then our booth mate bought it himself out of spite, just so it wouldn't be there when he came back.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, God. It's I have a lot of videos saved on YouTube because I love listening to other creators and artists talk about their stuff, but fuck you, pay me is like gold standard. And I have a rant she's had to listen to a lot of times about, and it's interesting because I actually read an article and like listened to a podcast about it, but some point post Renaissance, with the rise of the bourgeois, art went from something that was a craft to something that people thought was a calling, like with a capital C.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it became taboo to talk about money and art and association, because art was a higher calling and you did it for love or social something, social justice or whatever. And people stopped acknowledging that it was a craft that you study, and that like I work every day on my art. I should be compensated for my art. Like it's like, and that kind of holds over to today. Like American capitalism says that like artists are some rare breed above and beyond who are doing things for the love of blah blah blah. And it's like, no, we're people who work with a craft and a skill that is in demand, and we should be paid for it.
And then on top of that, there's the weird split between the fine art community, where they're getting thousands and beyond per painting.
Such a scam.
Oh my God.
And then people in our line with conventions where they're like, can I have it for $5? It's like...
Yeah, my background is I got a degree in like fine art, and work in a fine art supply store. So yeah.
Something you're most proud of the other person for.
Oh, jeez. I gotta think really hard. I am so proud. I mean, it feels like a cop-out answer because she knows it, but that how much like her art has improved, just leaps and bounds. She's like a fantastic artist that does things that I can't do, and it's been really. I'm so proud of her. Yeah, it's awesome. It's been awesome seeing your art like change and blossom and grow. Yeah,
thank you. Oh gosh, there's so much. I mean, I still think you're a better artist than I am.
Different kinds.
We're very different kinds of artists, which is why we work well together.
Yeah.
No, I'm really, you persevered this last year. You have. It's been a shitty year mental health wise.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, I'm most proud of you for your gum on, for sticking with it.
Thank you.
Also, she draws really sexy butts. Here, hold on, I've been staring at it. I have to. She took it. So our fun thing that we do aside from the screen printing is we do prints like based on the Hawkeye initiative.
Yes.
We don't make these anymore, but we had coloring books for a little while.
Yes. How do I not own this?
Yes.
I don't know how much you can see that.
Oh,
And Will. I had like a Bucky. This one we actually had like we have
some prints of these. We've been slowly turning them into prints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those prints we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I still do these occasionally, but yeah.
But mostly for like fandoms that we're into and dudes that we want to see sexy.
Yeah. And yeah, I really, really enjoy kind of poking the status quo a little bit. And making people uncomfortable.
Yeah, we do. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of conventions is the straight dudes like aged 15 to 20 who will look at these giant pinups we have of sexy, stuff and are just like, why did you have to draw that? That makes me really uncomfortable. I'm like, you ruined my life.
To the other side.
It was so fragile.
Yeah, I'm sorry that your masculinity was so fragile. I mean, like the booth next to us has scantily clad bikini girls lovingly airbrushed, and that doesn't break your brain. Like, let's discuss the double standard there.
Right. Oh, that would make me happy and feed my joy.
Yeah. Oh, it does. It did. She missed the best one. There was some kid dressed as, I think, the main character from Fairy Tale at a convention in Idaho who like spent 5 minutes standing in front of the booth ranting at me about how disturbed he was by sexy Batman and sexy Thranduil, and I'm like
then it's not for
giving
you.
Me life. Keep giving me life. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes, I will feed on this. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we have my favorite, actually, same convention, different year, was we have a Barrett sexy print. It's scandalous. The only thing keeping him from full frontal is some chocobo feathers.
Yes.
And because we want more men of color and different body types.
Yeah, and I'm trying to break away from like drawing skinny white men.
It's hard though, because let's face it, that's what fandom is.
Yep.
That's what most of people like pop culture.
Pop culture puts sexy white boys on the screen. Anyway, but point being, so we had this print of Barrett and it was there, and this older woman, she was like middle age, like looked like in her 40s, comes up and is super excited and buys 2. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And then her husband comes up dressed as Barrett. Yes. And she hands him one of the prints. And look, she was pleased. He was thrilled. Like, it was so great.
Yeah. He was so happy.
He was just over the moon. And like, and we have a Saitama one too, and like lots of from One Punch Man, and like people love that too. And it's
Oh, one of my proudest moments was also like I turned so red at a convention that Lee Pace was at a convention, and someone like bought the Thranduil print and then came back a little while later and had his signature on it.
Yes!
That was Kelly.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I have connections with some writer friends in the community, and I do like Kelly, I do some book covers for her, and she's like a really good friend because we're in book club together. And so she gave it to him, and apparently he really approved of it.
That's amazing. I mean, with how much he chewed the scenery in that role, it doesn't surprise me. He'd probably be like, yes, why didn't they let me do this? you mentioned mental health, especially, in this last year of
Yeah.
that's my technical term. Uh I what has the business as a whole, like even through the hard times, what has having this collaboration and having this business meant for your lives and your mental health?
That's a good question.
It's meant a lot, honestly. Like, again, when COVID hit, I went into distract self from distress by doing art. And so I did Inktober. I basically did Inktober for 3 months straight.
Whew.
Although we're not supposed to call it Inktober anymore
Right.
because that guy's a jerk.
Yep.
Yeah.
But whatever, October, whatever. Drawtober.
Yeah.
I think for me the biggest part is, and this is just my own personal mental whatever, is if I'm doing something for myself, I tend not to do it because it's just me and I'm the only one it affects. And so I drop the ball and I drop the ball and I tend to like let things slide.
Here.
The minute I am accountable to her and our shared business and that there are other people's livelihoods on the line, I will like hell and back, I will do it. And so it's really, really important to me, our partnership, and that like I've got someone I'm accountable to, but who also like understands. Like she's not gonna
we can
yell at me.
It's good. Communication is important. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it's been really hard for me to produce art for a while, and I feel like I'm kind of getting back into it again. But it was really good having just a task like screen printing that I could kind of turn myself into a robot and just do and feel like I had a task, was doing a thing, was going to produce a thing. I'm got a job.
Yep.
And that got me through a lot of it.
Yeah, the actual screen printing itself is a very time-consuming fiddly task, and it does take, I think if either of us tried to do it on our own, it would be miserable. But together, like there's parts of it that like especially with the new press, she can like press one side, flip it around, I heat set it, flip it back, she does the next color pass, and then like I go and hang it up, right? She's not having to walk around the press and back and forth and deal with the heat gun.
It's labor saving. But yeah, there's so many little steps to do things and like little tasks to do. Like I can always go out and there's always screens that need to be reclaimed and washed so that we can like repurpose them for something else. There's so many steps in the process you can get into.
Yeah, there's nice brain off tasks. So if I get bogged down for 3 hours staring at a piece of art feeling like I can't ever get it right, I can set my iPad aside, go out to the garage where our studio is, and like clean some screens or double check the exposure unit or make sure our ink hasn't dried up. And those are good business tasks too that need to get done.
Yes. Ink inventory.
I'm weird in that I mix colors. That's part of our charm. Like, so most major screen printing companies, like the big ones, your color choice is really going to be limited to what's commercially available for that brand of ink. But I mix custom colors, which is not something a bigger place could do because it does waste a lot of ink sometimes. But still. And that's how we get like the split fountain. Like, I'm sorry, that's a technical term. What we did for you with like the gradient, right? That went pink to blue. We end up with some purple ink at the end. And so I kind of like in the back of my brain, every time I'm looking at the shelf of ink, because it's a big shelf, I'm like, all right, so I've got a purple and an orange, and like, what can I design next that will use those colors?
Yeah. I would love to hear, because obviously you guys are constantly creating. You have a lot of stuff. I know, like, we've purchased some of your stuff that we really like. What are your favorite things that you've created so far as a business? Favorite product, favorite print, favorite piece of art?
I really like the pillows that we made.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think they look really, really cool and professional and like,
ooh,
I could see this in a store. They haven't like sold like super well, but we take them to conventions and I think they're really awesome. This was another thing where we collaborated with.
This is our
friends.
first like real hardcore collaboration, because I did like the bones of this and it was terrible, and then she made it look awesome. But yeah, we love cryptids.
Yeah.
Like we like doing the kind of cryptid thing. One of the conventions we used to go to was a horror convention. We probably need to pare down what we sell, because a lot of our stuff again is weeb oriented, or like anime fandom, more like general sci-fi nerddom, and the people who are buying things at horror conventions are there for specifically horror stuff. And so we kind of
double more down on like,
we gotta
creepy
creepy tentacles
things.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I always have the most fun ever boothing there, because I get to distract customers for 2 hours raving about horror movies. obscure
things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that sounds cool. I do appreciate horror movies, but not quite to like that extent.
Yeah, I get it. I'm good with like the campy ones and but when it starts getting into farther into it, or into like the super in the weeds weird indie ones, Harrison is way more into it than me, so I think it'd be similar.
All right,
switching gears again.
Yes.
I would love to hear, especially with identifying ace, and because I know how ace sometimes gets kind of LGBT. Talk about, do you feel like you are visibly queer in your business? How has that been?
I don't feel like I'm personally, I'm not like visibly queer, just because I feel like I feel cis. I feel like I have a lot of privileges, and I don't really want to like, doesn't really feel like my place to put myself in a lot of like, I'm failing at words here today.
No,
but
I get it. No, I completely get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel a little bit uncomfortable stepping forward and kind of like wearing queer as a badge of honor, like, because I don't feel like I deal with a lot of the same kind of oppressions. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. What are your feels on it?
I mean, I have the big earrings that say queer, and I do wear them to most cons, and I'm very, very vocal about being ace. And I've got a couple of other ace friends that like I met through conventions. Anyway, but I guess I'm okay, again, with the invisible queerness, or because she's my partner and we work together and we're like very close and touchy-feely, people just assume that we're a couple. And I don't really correct people unless it becomes an issue.
Because it's kind of like, well, so what if we were like,
it's like in the same way that I don't feel like heterosexual people have to defend or define their relationships to passing strangers. Why should I? Like, I'm very much in the Wanda Sykes camp of queerness, which is like, how is it anybody's business? Like, I don't understand why. Like, I understand, because representation matters and people being out and vocal about it matters. And I will be if the situation calls for it, because I don't want to fade into the background and have people think that as an asexual, like, I don't belong in the queer community, because I do. And in fact, it's very, like, especially as a pan-romantic asexual, it's like,
And I believe really strongly in helping boost representation and visibility for people that do want to be really out and proud with their sexuality. And I want to boost that. And I want to ensure that there's a place for that, and help that in any way that I can. So where like, I'm not particularly like comfortable giving myself a definition and like wearing it as a badge of honor. I feel like really strongly that people that do feel that way should have that place. And I want to encourage that in any way that I can.
Yep, that. All right, so last question. Obviously understanding that things are still in flux as we slowly come out of this
morass, the
panini and everything
time.
else. Yes. What is next for you guys? What are your short-term, smaller goals? What are your big dreams?
And short term is just kind of getting through the pandemic and staying alive and kind of reclaiming a momentum and and production.
One thing that has also been good during the pandemic is we actually got contacted by a number of local shops who wanted to carry our stickers.
That's awesome.
And so I threw together in like a panic at midnight, like a line sheet, which is like basically a portfolio of, hey, here's what we'll sell to you and here's how much it costs, with pretty pictures. So there's a coffee shop in Seattle that has carrying our stuff and some of our masks. There's a couple places in Bellingham now that are carrying our stickers.
That's a good point. We would like to get our things physically out in different shops. We were kind of going that way when the pandemic hit, and then it was like, well, that's not going to be part of our projected business plan for a while.
Right.
But more into that. Want to do that. One cool thing that we've got in the works is we've got a little enamel pin collaboration that we've done with some other artists. Many of us who have never
shiny pins
done enamel pins.
We'd never done them before. But yeah, we did. I organized. It turns out I'm a great project manager.
Good to know.
I'm so humble. No, I basically, the art Discord that I run, enough of us are super into tarot and super into cryptids that we went through the major arcana and we have a list, and we're gonna do a round 2 after we get these ones out. And we picked a cryptid and a major arcana and did a design for it.
I love it.
So I don't know if let's see if we can camera. Like this is camera.
There we go.
That's the tower with like a
nice.
Anyway, and we kind of did a Wikipedia deep dive and got some like really obscure ones. Like she picked this Umdlebi.
Umdlebi. It's like
it's like a tree.
It's a carnivorous tree that's based on some legends in the Zulu kingdom in Africa. But it's a little more obscure, but I enjoyed fussing with that.
But yeah, so we got there were 10 pin designs in total. So we got half the major arcana in the first run. And we're all again, because it's the service got a bunch of diverse skill sets. Another friend of ours picked up and made a placeholder website so that we can make a QR code so everyone can scan the back of the pin packaging and get to the website with everybody's designs and links to websites.
Nice.
There's a lot of pretty cool ones.
Yeah.
That's
werewolf and aliens
and a Yeti.
Yes. Someone else did a Yeti.
Someone else did Bigfoot. And there's I don't know, people just chose, because again, really diverse set of artists all had different focuses, and so everyone chose a cryptid that appealed to them, and so we have a wide range of multicultural. But yeah, we got off into the weeds again. Thing that we're gonna do, and I'm gonna hold our feet to the fire. So the year before COVID hit, we instead of paying ourselves, dumped the money that we made into buying tickets to Japan.
Yes, and just went and were complete nerds for a couple years.
Biggest Fujo. Yeah. We went to Comiket. And
just
all
the weird secondhand shops and the nerd districts.
And ate all the food.
Yes.
Anyway, but it was so we had a revelation. There is in fact a day in which foreigners can booth and have comics, and they've got their own section at Comic-A. I really, really want to do a short little mini comic, bilingual, an English page meets and a Japanese page, that's just our experiences boothing and the customers that we've run into.
Yeah, this is the American experience.
This is the American convention experience, because I think Japanese people would get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
American conventions are very, very different from Japanese conventions.
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and Comic-Con was a blast in terms of me getting to just yammer at artists. who
spend
were
a lot of
always
money.
thrilled because I'm a foreigner and I speak Japanese, and I'm there to tell them that their hot guys doing each other are super hot. Oh yeah, super into like dojin and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but yeah, no, I want to do a little mini comic, and maybe next time we go to Tokyo or Osaka, like get in
Yeah.
and like sell it.
Yeah, I'd call that a big goal.
That's a big dream.
Mhm.
Yeah, love it. Where can people find you?
ChibiYeti.com.
That's
That's the main place. We do have a Facebook and an Instagram. Website's the best place to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ChibiYeti.com.
I will put all the
the-
links in the description below, guys, so don't worry. It will all be there for you guys to click on.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for
Yeah,
this.
it's been
And
lovely.
it's been lovely talking to you. You
Yeah,
are
it's been a lot of fun. I like, you know, especially since we have realized that so much of our, you know, community of acquaintances and friends was built up of the people we got to see regularly at conventions. And then when we lost that, we're like, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to do this with me today. It's been so much fun having you. Like I said, I will have all the links down below so that everybody can find you. And hopefully, fingers crossed, conventions will be back soon and
Yes.
they can find you there. Do you pretty much
Yeah.
stick to West Coasty conventions or?
so far, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money to haul like
Yep.
bulk shirts around.
Yeah,
Because I'm
shirts
sure-
are big.
Yeah,
Shirts take up room.
but we'll see.
We're working on
we'd
it.
like to get farther out.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yes. If nothing else, it sounds as of right now like we will all see each other at RCCC this fall. Again, I'm just going to keep doing this, knocking on wood, all the other superstition things. But
Mhm.
in the meantime, you can definitely find them on the internet. Links down below. And thank you so much, guys.
You
Yes,
too, right
thank
back at you.
you.
It's been great.
Looking forward to working with you.
Mhm.
Yes. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. It's Jake Gyllenhaal hamming it up.
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal?
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 Yeah.
Which, oh, you'll dig this. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. YouTube can know. I majored in Japanese gay porn.
That's a possibility?
Okay, so you choose the Japanese department as your major department.
Right.
You choose literature as your focus rather than linguistics. And you title it Homosexuality in Japanese Contemporary Media.
Or do you want me to like name a specific thing?
No, it doesn't have to be nice. Don't flatter me, I turn pink.
Anyway, aside.
But yes, Lee Pace and his Lee face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. What? Let's try this in English.
Yeah.
Tell Harrison
gonna be
he
the
has to
one
give me
talking
his
for hours.
Discord name. Harrison, we need to exchange Discord deeds and talk about horror movies.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I know I'm on the stream. usually.
Yes.
I wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And we kind of did like a,
Refocus.
Wiki-
Refocus.
No, refocus, camera, refocus. Oh well.
Oh, we can do
You're
fuzzy.
slightly fuzzy now, but it's okay.
It'll fix itself. There it goes.
There it goes.
Magic.